6 old school budgeting strategies that still work today. We might be living in a world of fintech, spreadsheets, and budgeting apps, but 6 classic budgeting tactics haven't gone out of style. Thanks to their simplicity, these grandma budgeting methods have certainly drawn worldwide interest from everyday people seeking better ways to achieve financial independence. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic today. I'm doing marvelous, and if you are doing as marvelous as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today we want to talk about 6 old school budgeting strategies that still work today. When it comes to budgeting, a lot of people want to make things convoluted, things complex, but they shouldn't be. Because the bottom line here is that you want to achieve financial independence. You want to monitor your finances, understand where you're spending your money and where you're making money from, and that's all it is. So if we can go back for a second to the old school strategies that have worked for decades, chances are a lot of people will be able to reach financial independence a lot quicker than we have now. Now, the first old school budgeting strategy is called the top 5 budget. This is very simple. It means that you are listing the top 5 budget expenses. Your household expenses, you just list them. Let's say, the top 5 expenses usually are food, rent, clothing, utilities, and health insurance. And whenever income is received, those are paid first. So when you have this sort of budget, it allows you to have peace of mind. So you only relax and enjoy anything else after paying the top 5 expenses. So unless and until you pay those 5 expenses, you don't do anything else, right? I mean, this is great if you have multiple expenses. It kind of helps you zero in on what really matters, what's really important for your household. It's also relevant, according to research, if you have a large family. Let's say you have 10 kids, or you have a large family, a lot of mouths to feed. So it allows you to implement the top 5 budget. Let me give you an example. Let's say your household income is, I'm talking household, so both partners, you're probably making 10,000, for sake of calculation, let's just use a round number. You're making $10,000 a month. All right. If you want to use the top 5 budget approach, you would go and say, how much are we spending on food, for rent or mortgage, clothing, utilities, and health expenses. Let's say the top 5, those top 5 expenses amount to $5,000 or $6,000. All right. So what's happening here is that as you get paid every 2 weeks, or every month, or every week, you always want to allocate funds to those top 5 expenses first. So you kind of have a tier. So you have the first tier. The tier 1 of expenses will include the top 5, and then you have tier 2, and then you have tier 3. So in this kind of budget, that you are always taking care of the fundamentals. The fundamental expenses are always taken care of. All right. Budget strategy number 2. You have something called a zero balance budget. Now, when a lot of people, when they talk about budget, what they talk about is, in reality, the zero balance budget, right? So it's simply a list of expense categories. So you take a piece of paper and you put food, utilities, rent, insurance, right? And while you're doing that, you have a target amount that you'll be spending in that category, right? So it's more based on estimation. You are saying, okay, this month we want to spend around $200 or $300 on food. And rent is usually fixed, so you can't change that. But utilities also, you can't change that. Sometimes you can change it. But if you have health insurance or you have clothing, for instance, those are variable expenses, right? So ideally, the total of all the expense categories will add up to less than what you're earning in a given month, right? So that kind of gives you the opportunity to save some money. You have some breathing room, right? The zero balance budgeting approach is thorough, and it allows you to get a grasp on where every dollar is going, right? So if you set the budget if you set up the budget properly, you can understand clearly your usual money habits, so you know where the cash is going, which stuff you are spending too much money on, which stuff you should be spending more money on. And with that knowledge, you can set realistic targets. If you want to cut back, for instance, if you want to reduce your expenses in the future, you can basically cut back in those areas that are more flexible, right? Because you can have an idea of the fluctuation from month to month, whether or not you can cut. For instance, let's say this month you spend $200 or $300 on food, and the following month you realize that you only spend $150, and the month after you spend $125, the month after you spend $175. What the fluctuation is telling you is that there is room for some reduction there, right? Because if one month you spend $250 and another month you can spend $125, and nobody is starving in your house, everybody's happy, that means that you have breathing room. You can potentially cut $50 off of the food item every month, and people will still be okay. And you can apply this strategy to every item on the budget. Of course, those are you can apply them for the variable expenses, right? Because the expenses such as rent, as I said earlier, or utilities are hard to change because those are contractual agreements. They're based on contractual agreements, and you cannot change those unless you talk to your landlord or to the utility company. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still talking about 6 old school budgeting strategies that still work today. I already gave you 2. Now let's go to number 3. Number 3 is called a goal-driven budget. Now this one is very easy. You establish a goal for monthly expenses and you try to stick to it. This is very important. Let's say you say, I'm going to spend $100 for food. That's it. I don't care how I reach that goal, but I don't care what kind of food I eat, but I want to spend only $100 for food. And it allows you to live within your means. This is very close. The goal-driven budget is similar to, or has some I would say it's kind of similar to a minimalist budget, right? So you only spend money on things you have chosen to spend money on, right? This is great. The goal-driven budget is great for moments of hardship, when you're really broke, or you're about to get broke, or money is just too tight. Then you can really implement that. Now, if you want to save money extra, if you want to save some extra cash in a very aggressive way, you can also use the goal-driven budget. Again, that budget, very simple. Let's say you're making $2,000 a month, and you're saying, I'm going to spend only $800. I'm going to spend for food $100. I'm going to spend for entertainment $50. And you only stick to that. In other words, if by the 5th of the month or the 8th of the month, you've already spent $50 on entertainment, that means that you're going to have a lot of TV watching on the couch or on YouTube for the rest of the month. You're not going beyond that. When it comes to food, if you decide to spend $100 on food, that means you're probably planning for the whole month, right? So you're probably buying in bulk, and you're probably either freezing or storing, so that you have a better control. And you probably also do some meal planning. You cook for work, you bring your own food to work, so that you can control exactly what kind of money you're spending. And that's called a goal-driven budget. Number 4, the envelope budget. Now, this is another great example of budget if you're trying to make ends meet. The thing here is that the way it works is that you simply cash each paycheck, and then you sort that cash into a series of paper envelopes for various purposes, right? So you can mark an envelope rent, another envelope utilities, a third one clothing, a fourth one food, right? So then whenever you need to spend money for a particular purpose, you take money from the appropriate envelope, right? So the thing is, if there is not much in that envelope, you have to figure out how to make it work. So again, this is a strategy that works in hard times, It allows you, of course, yeah, nowadays we have bank accounts, so you can basically go and get the money. But I'm talking here about an old school strategy that always works, still works. So the strategy, the beauty of this strategy is it makes budgeting very simple, and it makes it physical, right? Because you are actually touching the money, you are handling the money, and you are budgeting it manually, putting it into different envelopes, right? So, and the beauty again of this is that it makes it easier for you to understand how much cash you have to stretch across all of your necessary expenses, so you can immediately sense whether or not you can afford to spend money on a treat, right? So this is very important, and this is called the envelope budget. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. If you just joined us right now, please consider subscribing to our channel. We just release a lot of good shows every single day, sometimes twice a day, rain or shine. And turn on the notification bell so you'll receive some kind of alarm or alert from us that we have a new show. Then you can check it out. Share, like, and comment below. The next budgeting strategy you want to pay attention to is called the pay yourself first budget. That's very simple, and this is one of my favorites, by the way. In this approach, you basically, after you collect the paycheck, you put some of that money straight for long-term goals, and you figure out how to live on what's left. Again, if you're making 2,000, for instance, 2,000 net, you basically take $500 and put it in an emergency fund, or in a rainy day fund, or in a 401k or other workplace retirement plans, right? And or even a long-term investment account. And then you sort of figure out how to spend the $1,500, the remaining $1,500. So you pay yourself first. This is very important, especially if you're trying to achieve big goals. You're trying to buy a house. You're trying to buy a car. You're trying to move in with a partner. It's a powerful strategy. It allows you to save aggressively here. And the thing here is that if you don't want to do the things this way, you can even do it electronically. You can basically instruct your employer on the direct deposit form that a quarter, for instance, of your salary goes to an account that you never touch, that you never even know exists. You probably know it exists, but you're trying to keep it as far away from you as possible, so you're not tempted to spend the money in it, right? So every month, or every 2 weeks, or every week, or whenever you're paid, a portion of your paycheck goes straight into that account. And the last budgeting strategy you want to use is something called the 50-30-20 budget. Now this is very important. This was coined, this phrase, this strategy was coined by Senator Elizabeth Warren and Amelia Warren Tyagi. Basically, the thing here is that you're able to, when you get your paycheck, 50% goes to primary expenses, things you cannot change. I'm talking, this is what I called earlier the top 5 expenses, right? So rent, groceries, healthcare, clothing, and utilities. So 50% of your cash goes there. 30% goes towards what people call discretionary expenses. So things like entertainment, traveling. Those are not needs, those are wants, right? The first part was needs. The first part of expenses were needs. You need to eat. You need to live in a home that has heat, that has AC. So those utilities, you need to pay your mortgage. You need to pay your rent. Entertainment is kind of cool too, but it's not a need, it's a want, right? Traveling is definitely not a need, it's a want. You can still live in your apartment for many years without traveling, you still be in good health, right? So 30% of the cash goes to discretionary expenses, and 20% of the money goes into savings. All right, so 50, 30, 20. That budget, if we were to take another example, the example of someone making $2,000 a month, for instance, here. So 50% of 2,000, that's $1,000. So $1,000 will go towards rent, groceries, clothing, insurance, and utilities. 30% of the 2,000, in other words, $600 will go towards discretionary expenses, and 20% of that money, in other words, $400, will go into anything that relates to savings. So that's the 50, 30, 20 budget. All right, folks, this is basically a compilation of the 6 old school budgeting strategies that still work today. Let me kind of give you the whole list here. So you have the top 5 budget, the zero balance budget, the goal driven budget, the envelope budget, the pay yourself first budget, and the 50, 30, 20 budget. Happy budgeting. I will see you next time. And until then, remember, stay marvelous.